Hello and welcome. Wow, I can't believe how quickly this week has flown by. My name is Celine and I will be presenting day 4 of our 5-day Build a Website Challenge, where we will be covering plugins and Google Analytics setup and more. Before we get started on that, let's do a quick recap of what we have learned so far. To kick off our event, Love Yourself Project's very own Ren Caldwell, owner of Ren's Webs, gave a presentation on domain name basics and why choose WordPress and Divi. On day 1, you heard from SiteGround's Katerina Angelova, where she showed us how you can benefit from SiteGround's Divi hosting. On day 2, I presented how to get started with Divi and choosing your first layout. And yesterday for day 3, I presented tips on creating your first landing page. So for today's presentation, I will go over some prep stuff you need before actually designing your WordPress website. Then we'll get on with loading and setting up Divi and other back-end work like installing and activating specific plugins. So let's get started. Now, you probably haven't had time to write content for your site, but I know you want to get going on the design and layout. So in order to get started, you will need to find some filler or dummy text to add some content to your site. The more well-known one is called Lorem Ipsum, and my personal favorite is called Cupcake Ipsum. There are many variations, so the choice is yours. But my rule of thumb is when designing and using filler text, I use one that puts a smile on my face. And here are a couple of examples. So on the main Lorem Ipsum site, you can see that you can choose the number of paragraphs at the bottom where you can see the number 5. However, the problem is you cannot choose the length of the paragraph, whether it's short, long, or medium length. Whereas with Cupcake Ipsum, you can type in the number of paragraphs, you can choose long, medium, or short, and you can also start it with some cupcake love. So this will just give you an example of what I mean. So if I copied and pasted directly from the Lorem Ipsum site where I chose 3 short paragraphs, this is what I end up with. Whereas with Lorem Ipsum, I had to cut it because it wouldn't fit on my page. So that's one of the best parts of Cupcake Ipsum is not only is it fun to read, but you can also, I guess, format your paragraphs easily. So let's start with where to find Divi. So the first thing is to log into your Elegant Themes account. Head on over to your member area, and we will be downloading 3 things. So Divi theme, a plugin of theirs called Bloom, and another plugin called Monarch. So Bloom is an added bonus for specific types of subscribe buttons or subscribe pages. And Monarch is one specifically for social share. And then we'll learn how to copy your API key, which is your password. And then we'll head on over to setting up Divi. So let me just break for just 1 second, and I will head on over and share another screen. So here we are on the back end or members area of Elegant Themes, and this is where you will find the downloads I had mentioned just a second ago. So here is the Divi theme, and further down are Bloom and Monarch. So simply click on download and then save either to your downloads area or an external hard drive, whatever you prefer. Once that's done, the next thing you're going to do is head over to My Account, where you're going to just double check that you've got your username, and then head over to API keys, where now we will generate a new key. and then you would type in for reference. And just click on those numbers and it automatically copies. So in our case, this is the one that we're going to use and it's copied. So now I can just log off from this account. And what we're going to do next is head over to the back end of our WordPress area. So the first thing we're going to do is actually install Divi while we have the API key on our clipboard. So we are in Dashboard, Appearance, and Themes. And Add New, Upload Theme, Browse, and Divi is here. Install. It's successfully installed, so I hit Activate. Then while I'm here, I'm going to also install and activate my child theme, also from Divi. And remember, you have to keep these files zipped, otherwise the installation fails. Okay, so again, installed successfully, activate. And here we are in my themes area, and we can see that the child theme is the one that's active. Now, the next thing we're going to do while we're in the process of uploading things is head on over to Plugins, Add New, and the first thing we can do is upload Monarch and Bloom. Again, successful, so just activate. Okay, now we are going to install some additional plugins. Now, plugins are software additions that allow for the customization of your WordPress website. And one of the plugins that will allow us, that we're going to be installing, will allow us to put this site on maintenance mode while we build it. And some others that we're going to be loading now are for site security, backup, and SEO. So the first thing we did was go back to Dashboard, head to Plugins, and this time we're going to say Add New. So here, the first thing we're going to look for is the one to use for our maintenance mode. And there will be quite a few that show up. And what you're looking for here are some specific things. One is that it's compatible with your version of WordPress. So you can see that there's quite a few. The next part that you're going to want to look at is the number of installations and what their reviews are. So this one, for example, WP Maintenance Mode has over 800,000 active installations, 282 reviews, but not quite the 5 stars we're looking for. On the other hand, SeedProd has over 1 million active installations and over 4,000 5-star reviews. So that one looks like that's going to be my choice for now. So I'm going to hit Install Now. And activate. And while I'm here, I'm going to continue looking for other plugins before I leave this section. So Dashboard, Plugins, Add New. The next one we're looking for is Yoast, which is what we'll be using to help with our SEO, as well as Google Analytics. Okay, and activate. Add new again. This time we're looking for Hummingbird. Now, Hummingbird is a good plugin that helps cache your site, which means it takes away a lot of the excess coding that's not necessary, which can slow down your site. So install now. And activate. Add new. And the next one we're going to be uploading is called Sucuri Security. And this helps with fighting against malware attacks and so on for your site. So for this type, this is also another option, but I found that this sometimes does have conflicts with Divi specifically. So I'll stick with Sucuri. So install now. Activate. And the last plugin that we're going to be using as part of what I call my starter plugin package is Updraft. And this is one of the best plugins for backing up your site. Here we go. So over 3 million active installations and just under 5,000 5-star reviews. So install now. And activate. So at this point in time, the one plugin that we're looking for and are going to be working on right now is really our Seed Proj coming soon page. So to find where to set it up is up here. Whoops, I went too high. So still in dashboard and you'll see Seed Prod. Where we're going to head over first of all is templates. And what you can see are, simple ones like this, and then others that have a sign like this. So this is for the paid version, and for our purposes, we're fine with just the free version. And let's take maybe this one here, because the website is coming soon. And the title of this page is going to be Test by Virtual Tidbits, and save. So now that we're here, the one thing we do want to do is include an email address at least in case somebody decides to get in touch with us. So this section here, I really don't need for my business, so I'm going to just delete that block completely. And I'm going to add some new text. And there we go. Come on, text. It's not cooperating with me today. There we go. There, it decided to show up. So here we just get rid of this lorem ipsum text that you see in here. Delete that. And I'm going to type in my email address. And what I'm going to do is just highlight it, add my link so you can see it normally changes it to an email address that people can just click on it. Now, to make it visually a little bit nicer, I would like to see it centered. So there we go. And the font size is fine for now. So I'm going to hit save and preview. So I think it looks pretty good, right? So we'll work with that. Okay, so now that we've got ourselves on maintenance mode, the one thing we need to do is go to settings. And because we're using the light version, we don't need to verify anything with a key. Nothing else to save in here. In pages. So we've got this one. So it's now active. And this should be the page that we just set up. So from here, we can go directly and start installing and setting, well, we installed Divi, but now we're going to be working on our setups. So where we're going to go first is over here to settings. Oh no, sorry, we're going to continue with Divi because that will be the easiest. So we'll head over to theme options, updates, and this is where we type in our username and API key and save changes. Then afterwards, we head over to general where we can load up a logo, add our colors. So if we want to change that, we simply remove that and either type in a new hex code or just physically go anywhere. After that, you want to make sure your Google Fonts are enabled and any of the icons that you want to use on your footer. So Facebook for sure, I don't use Twitter, and Google Plus no longer exists. I do use Instagram and an RSS feed. And this is where I would type in my full URL of my Facebook as well as my Instagram. And scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, and then just hit Save Changes. Next, we go over to the navigation bar where we just want to make sure that specific things are enabled. So these are good basic things first. And over here in the builder area, where it's very important for the advanced tab, is make sure that Enable Classic Editor is enabled. And save changes. So with layout, this is more about posts when it's time to write a blog, so we can manage all of this later on. And the next part now is we're going to set up 3 basic pages that will allow us to also create our menu. So from here, we go Add New. And the 3 pages we want to create is Home, Publish, Add New, and let's say Get in Touch, Publish, and Add New, either an About Us or Services. So let's just do Services and publish. So now those pages are ready. Now, the next thing that we're going to go over to is Dashboard, Settings, and General. So this is where you want to put the name of your website, a tagline, and you want to make sure that your HTTPS or SSL certificate has been enabled for both the WordPress address and the site address. Okay, so these are both good. Double check your admin email and make sure it's the correct one. And then you want to make sure about your site language, your time zone, pick your correct city, and then the format of your date and the format of your time and the day that your week starts. For some, it'll start on a Sunday, others on a Monday, some on a Saturday, and then hit Save Changes. After the General tab, now we go down to Settings and Writing. And this is more for when you are blogging. So for us, again, there won't be any changes here at this point. For reading, we can select a static page so that our main URL, which is this part, goes to home. Then Save Changes. And now for discussion, you can read through this and click whatever it is you want to allow or not allow. So for example, I won't have comments on this particular site, so I can just untick that. And then at the bottom, I just have to remember to click on Save Changes. So still within Dashboard and Settings, we're done with discussions. Now we're down to Media. And here is where you can adjust any of the sizes that you want specific for your images. And then Save Changes again. And then in permalinks, this is where I like to change. Normally, these first three items are what's been already highlighted and chosen. So I usually unclick them and make sure that the only one left is this percentage post name percentage, so that when I have a post, it's going to read test.virtualtidbits.com and the actual name of the post without having all these extra numbers written in there. Then I click Save Changes. So the back end part for now is ready to roll. So let's start going back and actually creating an actual web page now. So starting with the home page, we're going to go first of all to the back end so you can see what that looks like. And I'm going to click Use Divi Builder. So this has something happening, so I'm going to hit update for a second. And perhaps we forgot to hit, nope, we've got active. Oh, okay, it still says draft. I thought we did hit save. We previewed it. It was all good to go. Let's start this again because obviously something went wrong. So when you get that kind of conflict and it's not that big a deal to change, just go ahead and trash it. Here we go. Deleted that block. Yes, delete. Okay. It was there and it disappeared. A little finicky today. Publish. That's the part we forgot to hit, was publish. Okay. So now let's go back to our pages and home. So you can see that that was the permalink, which is exactly what we wanted to do. We're going to do browse layouts. And you can see that there are 214 layout packs. So that means that each of these have more than one page available. So for our purposes, let's work on so many to choose from. Here, let's choose the business coach model. And what we're going to look at is live demo, because we want to choose between a home or a landing page. So let's look at the difference now. So on a home page, you can see this is kind of the layout here. And on the landing page, it has a bit more information. So while we're here, we know that we wrote one for services. So we're just going to see if we also like this page. Okay, and contact or get in touch. Okay, that all looks pretty good. So we're going to do with the home. So I can close this. I'm going to choose home. Use this layout. So as everything is loaded here, things to look at on the back end are this part where you can actually modify your description for what Google will see, the same thing in the excerpt. And later on, once we've activated the Monarch plugin, it'll show up here as well. So let's just go ahead and have a look on what the front end looks like and see if there's anything we want to change. Okay, so maybe let's remove the professional coaching. And just for our purposes, we're going to change it to virtual tidbits. So you can see that here the spacing is still pretty good, right? But recall during one of the days we talked about Divi being very responsive. So here is the title, and I can change how it's going to look on a mobile device. So this is it for a laptop or computer. On a tablet, whoops, that's how it looks like. And on a phone, that's how it looks like. So this part looks okay, but the subtitle looks a little bit large for a phone. So I'm going to go over here, click on that other button, and I should be over in design, and that is, oops, subtitle text. And this is the size that we want to decrease a little bit. So it's at 30. So we'll probably go down to 25, maybe even 22. I think 22 is more balanced for a phone. And when you're looking at it back on a laptop or desktop computer, it still looks great. So I'll go ahead and save that. So you can see how simple it is to make these few changes using the front-end visual builder. So now that we've saved it, we can exit. And let's go ahead and work on the plugins. So dashboard, plugins, installed plugins. This gives you a list, again, of everything you have. Now, Akismet is something that we can activate, and you will have to do this on your own, getting your, using your email address for business. And again, you'll need an API key, again, the password, to activate it. So let's see which ones we have to work on. So with Monarch plugin, we want to go on settings, and we want to show it on the sidebar or at the bottom or a pop-in or a fly-in. Fly-in can be sometimes annoying, so I prefer to stick to the sidebar. Now for the networks, we want to add Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and let's say Gmail. So these are the things that people can share with and save changes. There we go. Now social follow, again, you have to add your networks that you want. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and maybe let's do Vimeo. Okay, so this is where you would type in your social media URL. So because we've activated this area, now we just go save changes, make sure that little circle shows up. And because I didn't enter anything, I'm not sure if it's going to show on that page, but let's just check. So heading back to home, going to edit, so it'll show me the back end. And this is one of the things that I was mentioning why I use both front and back ends. All the way to the bottom. Yes. So here you just have to click Enable Monarch Settings Override. And what will show up here is Update. And you can click View Page from here or here. And all of a sudden, we've got our social share button. So that means anyone who's visiting this page can say, hey, that looks pretty cool. I'm going to share it on Facebook or on Twitter or on Pinterest or by email. And so all they have to click is one of those. And then all of a sudden you get logged into your Facebook account. Okay, so that's pretty easy. So this is where we continue with going back to our dashboard. And now we're going to create our first menu, which is in, sorry, hang on, in Appearance. So Dashboard, Appearance, and Menus. Oh, this was from another recording, so let me just remove that so that we're going to start fresh. So I have named this main menu May, so I don't forget it. So the first thing I do is really just type that in, and then it'll say create menu because if it's the first one. And then what I do after it's been created is I head over to this area and click the pages that I want to include. So we know we had services, we know we had get in touch, but I can't seem to see my home page. So I'm going to hit view all, and there it is. So I click home, add to menu. Then I click get in touch and services and add them to the menu as well. Now, this isn't quite in the right order, so it's simply drag and drop. And if I prefer get in touch to be more of a sub-menu, I just bump it over to the right. But for this purpose, they're all going to be aligned like this, and I just hit save menu. Then the next thing I want to do is manage locations, and I want to make sure that my primary menu is my main menu May. Save changes again. And I can either go over here to view it or go over here to view it. And there we go. Now we have our proper menus already set. Now at this point, because these are still empty, it's just going to look like this, which are just default pages with a sidebar. Okay, so that concludes day 4. But before we stop completely, let me just go back. Let me just stop share for a second. So in our PowerPoint presentation, we left off in this area where to find Divi. We did our download, we activated our API key, we set up Divi from the inside, enabling Classic Editor. We did our plugins, Yoast, Hummingbird, Sucuri Security, and Updraft. We set up the backend of WordPress where we did enable maintenance mode and did the following changes in general, in home, in our permalinks. So that's it. We did cover everything. So thank you again for being part of day 4, part 1. And our next session is going to be on about setting up your Google Analytics and your Yoast plugin.
Talk to you soon.